Everybody, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you to all of those who are joining the call, regardless of hour. Initially, we will go over an outline of the 2024 financial and performance-related results. I'll then move on to highlight, of course, some of the key topics and discuss a little bit what 2025 potentially looks like for us. After that, of course, we'll be happy to take any questions that anyone from the audience might have. And as Yentine stated, we're happy to take any questions via chat, whether in English and or in Japanese, either is okay. Initially on slide 4. Slide 4 explains the financial performance of fiscal year 2024. As all of you are aware by now, we had all-time highs in revenue and profits. So as highlighted in the middle column, we had initially forecast in February of 2024 to have revenue around 35 billion yen. In May of 2024, we had revised guidance upwards to 45 billion yen, largely on the back of the Novartis expansion that we initially announced in April of 2024. Final performance results for FY 2024 came in at 46.676 billion yen. So of course, surpassing even the revised forecast that had made. More importantly, this is 163% year over year higher than our results in 2023. So a significant 63% jump in revenue from 2023 to 2024. I will discuss more in subsequent slides, but that revenue is broken down to 31.3 billion from the drug discovery and development business side, and 15.36 billion from the radiopharmaceutical side. With the radiopharmaceutical side largely in line with expectations, and of course the drug discovery and development business significantly higher than it was in 2023. Core operating profits came in at 21.2 billion yen, almost a 300% increase over 2023, to which we had 7.1 billion yen in operating profits, resulting in a net income of roughly 15 billion yen, almost a 500% increase over fiscal year 2023. We had slightly higher in comprehensive income, in part because of the shares that we had sold in Reid upon the BMS acquisition, which we'll briefly touch on. And this all resulted in earnings per share of 115.85 yen per share. Again, a 500% increase over the 23.41 yen per share we saw in fiscal year 2023. So overall, and from a financial performance perspective, an absolutely fantastic banner fiscal 2024. So if you go to the next slide. On the PeptiDream related side of the performance, as I mentioned, that came in around 31.3 billion yen. The main driver for this was the expanded RI-PDC deal with Novartis. That deal did not only cover RI-PDC, it actually covered another type of PDCs also. So it was a multi-PDC deal in actuality, and hence really part of the large value that we saw with the $180 million upfront and very significant downstream financials attached to that deal. We also had two milestones, or a number of milestones, but a couple of important Novartis-related milestones, which I want to highlight here, with the clinical candidate nomination, which actually happened in July of 2024, which was the second clinical candidate arising from the 2019 RI PDC collaboration we had with Novartis. We had initially started with Novartis. And then in December, just of this last year, we announced what was the first clinical candidate that actually had then moved into phase 1 here in December of 24. And so really those two metrics or those two success or achievements was the genesis behind the expansion that is shown on the left here, right? So Novartis expanded in this 2024 deal with us because of the exceptional progress we've made under the 2019 deal. And you're going to see further progress here in 2025 from programs originating from that 2019 deal. So again, I think that's a really important that stuff that we've been doing that has maybe not been as public. Those successes are actually really translating now into catalysts and news and things progressing forward. And so overall revenue, of course, for PeptiDream again came in at 31.3 billion for fiscal 2024. On the PDR-radiopharma side of the business, as has been the case, this is was profitable again. The business was profitable, marginally profitable again this year. This is the third consecutive year since we've acquired the company that it's been profitable. And so we're very, of course, happy with that. But we are now setting the foundation to see actually revenue growth happen on the PDR-radiopharma side of the business. And so you can see just from looking at the 2024 performance, basically quarter over quarter performance has largely been in line with what we saw both in 2022 and in 2023 of roughly around 4 billion plus or minus 4 billion yen per quarter. And now as we look forward, of course, into 2025, there was some important news in 2024. Of course, we got NIH drug price listing for our Amyvid product. We also are seeing, we got very good reimbursement pricing. We also got insurance coverage in the end of 2023, but carried into, of course, 2024. So the Amyvid imaging project for Alzheimer's disease is in a very good position right now. At the end of last year, we also received approval for Tauvid, which is the imaging agent for, of course, tau. So this has not yet received marketing approval, but it should receive that potentially here in 2025. But that gives us two very important Alzheimer's imaging agents, which are very much on the back of course, both lecanemab and donanemab, I guess it is, however we say donanemab, the Lilly Kisuna, is it called now? Kisuna and Leqembi ASI's project being approved in Japan. So this is something that we expect will be growth drivers in the short term, is our Alzheimer's related imaging products. So very good performance, I think, very steady performance for the PDR-radiopharma business as we set products to contribute to our growth of the business, which we'll talk about in subsequent slides. On slide 7 is just overall the consolidated balance sheet. We saw a significant increase, of course, in overall assets in 2024. And then on the right side is really just we're still coming in around 60% for the ratio of equity attributable to owners of the parent of the total assets. And we are aiming, of course, to slowly progress this closer to the 70 to 80% range over the medium term. And very positively, we are, of course, at current in a negative debt ratio. Very happy. On the next slide is slide 8. It's just consolidated cash flow for the business. We had significant operating positive cash flow in 2024 at 23.8 billion yen. And so these all, of course, were contributors. We also had a significant investment cash flow from this, as I mentioned, from the sale of our stake in Reid Bio upon both the acquisition by BMS, which contributed. And then we had, as a negative, is of course, it was an outward cash flow being repayment of loans. We ended December. I think we actually says end of June, right? End of December 2024 on the slide. Should be December instead, at 48.1 billion yen in cash. So again, very a great performance year and a very solid financial position we sit in today. In the next section, I'm going to talk on some of the key topics and highlights and progress of the business and where we're looking forward in 2025. So on slide 10 is still the main goals of the business, as we've discussed numerous times, is a focus on the radiopharmaceutical business and then also a large focus on the non-radiopharmaceutical business. The radiopharmaceutical business continues to be focused on developing a robust pipeline of products and programs that are going to contribute to this field, to the radiopharmaceutical field, both on the diagnostic side and on the targeted radiotherapeutic side of the equation, both in Japan, of course, through our utilization of PDR radiopharma, also globally through our collaboration and licensing agreements. On the right side, on the non-radiopharmaceutical side, we are still very, very much focused on peptide therapeutics, with maybe a core piece of that being around oral peptide therapeutics, again, which is highlighted by our myostatin program, but there are a number of others that we are making what I would consider super exciting progress on, and look forward to talking about more in 2025. On the PDC side, very much focused on, again, the delivery, using peptides to deliver oligo drugs, using peptides to deliver small molecule drugs. Again, very similar, both these applications being very similar to the RI concept, just changing the payloads. And then on the right side of actually combining our peptides with either other peptide binders or other small molecule binders to make kind of bifunctional, trifunctional type of molecules. Sometimes what we refer to as MPC-like molecules, these multifunctional peptide conjugates, which is also something I think everyone should look forward to in 2025 to hear more about. As we move into slide 11, this is just highlighting some of the key topics or key achievements that happened in 2024. So in the radiopharmaceutical business, at the first is very happily, we had announced at the end of 2023 the partnership with LinkMed to develop and commercialize the copper-64 ATSM product for gliomas, glioblastoma, and a number of other types of gliomas in Japan. They announced those results in the summer, in the May timeframe of 2024, and then actually, based on those results, it progressed directly into a phase 3 study here in Japan, or a registrational study here in Japan, which kicked off in June of 2024. So very excited about this partnership with LinkMed. The compound looks very, very promising at this stage, and we're excited to continue to watch the progress of the phase 3. We signed a strategic partnership with Curium to clinically develop and commercialize their lutetium PSMA INT compound and their 64 copper PSMA INT compound, which both the lutetium PSMA has actually completed its phase 3 overseas, and the copper, the diagnostic agent, is nearing completion of its overseas phase 3. So we're happy to make that announcement. As far as progress on PeptiDream discovered assets or peptide-based assets, as I mentioned, we had announced a second clinical development candidate arising from that 2019 deal with Novartis in the summer of 24. We started a phase 1 here, announced a phase 1 starting in December of 24 for what was the first development candidate that we had picked from that collaboration. This is referred to, there's both the lutetium product, the therapeutic, and gallium, the diagnostic, and it's referred to currently as NNS309. But I think you will expect to hear what the actual target of this molecule is around April of this year. So this will not remain a secret for that much longer. We also completed a phase 0 study, first in human study of our first wholly owned internal RI-PDC program, targeting CA9, which is referred to as PD32766. This is an imaging study that was completed. We actually will be publishing or presenting this data at the ASCO GU meeting in February, tomorrow. tomorrow. So so tomorrow. So that should show up on our website here relatively soon. Very excited to present the results of that study. We also nominated our second at our R&D Day, December R&D Day. We nominated our second wholly internal program targeting Claudin 18.2, which has the identifier PD29875 for gastric cancer. Was also very exciting, announced at the end of last year. We also, again, as I had touched on, initiation of new RIPDC programs. We expanded the Novartis deal, as I mentioned, again, very, very happily to do so with them. We have continuing discussions with a number of pharmaceutical companies on new RIPDC programs that continue. And we're actually, really focused on advancing additional in-house RIPDC programs. So the third, so CA9 is our first, 18.2 being our second, and we already have line of sight toward 3, 4, and 5. And so we're really focused on, I don't have exact dates of when we would announce those. They're probably second half of the year, but we're a line of sight to announcing at least one, possibly two new internal clinical programs per year is an internal goal that we have. So in bucket 4 was the new product approval and new dosage forms of diagnostic agents. Again, very, very important to the PDR radiopharma business in the short term. They actually continue to working very hard on a PDR radiopharma and received a new dosage approval for the Techne pyrophosphate product, which is also contributing to growing revenue of that product, which is fantastic. As I mentioned, we also saw an indication change or an indication expansion around the Imabid product, which was excellent in September of 24. And then as we just caught at the end of last year was the approval of the Talvid agent. So exciting to see how these, I think Imabid will be the largest of those three as far as contributors in 2025, but we're very much looking forward to these products contributing in the short term. And then last is other strategic investments and/or partnerships. We did announce an R&D service agreement and master agreement for RI supply for Actinium-225 with North Star. North Star is just a fantastic company out of the Wisconsin area and has all new infrastructure and manufacturing capabilities for Actinium-225 that has really been ramped up. They've made significant investments to ramp up their sourcing and supply and are the ideal partner for us to have. And they're currently backing, of course, the CA9 product program. And then we intend to also utilize them for the 18.2 program as that looks to progress forward. So excellent to have that relationship in place. And additionally, what I'm going to talk on in some later slides is we announced in December, actually a new state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in a location called Kazusa Academia Park. It's in Eastern Japan, Chiba, Japan, for the clinical supply commercial production of some of our next-gen target radiopharmaceuticals, including lutetium, actinium, and also copper based agents. So exciting announcement, and I have a little bit more information on that in a subsequent slide. So on slide 12 is simply just a highlight of the current pipeline as it stands. We saw new programs added this year, and not only moving forward from phase 1s into phase 3s, but also a number of programs moving into phase 1. So it's really nice to see this pipeline actually not only expanding, but actually seeing programs progress. And I think everyone should very much look forward to more news across these programs in 2025. Exciting stuff. So we talk on 13, just to put a little more granularity to that. As I had mentioned, the ATSM project program is running through the phase 3. I don't know that we'll have any specific updates in 2025 in regards to the ongoing phase 3 as it moves toward NDA filing in the future. In regards to the PSMA, the curium-related INT programs, we are in discussions with the PMDA as far as exactly what those bridging studies are going to look like, both for the DX, the diagnostic, and the TX, the therapeutic in this case. We've put in some basic benchmarks in this slide kind of give you some idea of when we expect those to actually move into patients and start. But Murakami-san and team at PDR are just doing a fantastic job of getting these two products all in line, working closely with Curium and the authorities here to get these into the clinic as soon as possible. So I think that's news to look forward to in the later half of 2025 as we are able to provide more details on what the timelines of those programs will look like as we bridge into Japan. The Glypican-3 program, which is partnered with Reid Bio. So BMS has acquired Reid Bio, as everyone knows, and just for those who don't know, they actually are going to continue the Reid Bio name. It will remain as a wholly owned subsidiary of BMS. So I'll continue to say Reid Bio instead of calling them BMS at this stage. As we just announced a few weeks ago, our Glypican-3 program initiated phase 1 here at the end or earlier this year with both the therapeutic, this is the actinium-225 therapeutic, and the gallium-68 diagnostic agent. As many of you are aware, we have Japan rights to this program. And right now it's started a phase 1A, and it is slated for an escalation phase 1A into an expansion phase 1B. And we are looking to participate in the global study, whether that's part of the phase 1B or that's part of the phase 2 registrational is yet to be determined. But we're very much excited about the Glypican-3 project and it moving forward, and us trying to actually bring this to market in Japan at the same time that Reid is bringing this to market in overseas areas. The CA9 project, again, tomorrow we'll be announcing those phase 0 results. They're very positive. I'm very happy with the results that we actually saw. There's 2 other CA9 targeting products in development by other competitive companies, and I think ours is definitely best in class from the data that we've seen and can compare to. So very excited about where we sit. We will be looking to take this. Largely the IND enabling package is largely almost done. And so once all of these kind of results are formulated together, we'll be in a position, in the middle of the year to actually potentially file the IND with a goal toward initiating phase 1 before year end, I would say is the current goal. And again, that will be run in the US. We have everything largely in line to carry out this plan. So exciting to see CA9 progress forward. 18.2, as I mentioned, our second program will be moving into a phase 0. We're planning a phase 0 study in Japan. We're not sure exactly when that will start, likely toward the second half of this year, but it's very much in the works, working with the National Cancer Center Japan to align on how to do the study and what patients to do this study in, because 18.2 covers a variety of different types of gastric cancers. We also will be existing products that we have. Again, PDR folks are going to continue to work on new formulations and expand sales of the existing products that PDR Radiopharma already currently sells on the market. As far as additional new clinical programs, as I had mentioned in 2024, NNS-309 progressed into the clinic in December. We expect there's going to be additional compounds moving into the clinic in the future here, in the near future here, with, again, to the extent I'm allowed to say, we think there'll be additional products coming out of the Novartis side that should be progressing forward. So very excited to see new programs move out of the discovery into the clinic here in 2025 also. And then the market should also expect new development candidates. So we had developed, as I mentioned, announced 18.2, but you're going to see additional development candidates come out of some of our collaboration partners and also out of PeptiDream ourselves. So I think that's also something very exciting to be looking forward to. And then the last is the potential for new collaborations. I had attended JPM in January, and we are very much a sought-after entity, I would say, for partnering and for access actually to our own internal programs I think there's just a huge amount of excitement. We don't have any specific plans, say, to partner on CA9 or 18.2 at this stage, but we're certainly getting a lot of offers and/or appeals, and we are certainly getting a lot of offers and appeals on earlier preclinical assets as well as new partnerships. So it looks very much like 2025 is going to be another very robust year on the radiopharmaceutical side, on the field in general, across all of the various players that are now in this space. So, and I think, as you can see from this result, we had a fantastic 2024 as far as expanding our pipeline, both domestically and our discovery or PeptiDream originating programs. And I think very much you should consider that that's going to continue in 2025. So very excited to see, again, this pipeline come together. The last is just on the diagnostic side, non-disclosed other diagnostic agents that we're in discussions with. So we continue to be very active in discussions for both therapeutic products and diagnostic products that have either on the market outside of Japan or are in late stage development outside Japan, similar to the PSMA INT compounds from Curium, to negotiate deals to bring those products into the Japan market. And that is going to remain an important, say, part of the business of the radiopharmaceutical business. It's not just discovering our own drugs, but also partnering to bring ex-Japan drugs into the Japan market. So very excited about the progress here of our radiopharmaceutical business. Looking to slide 4 is just to see how these come together and contribute to overall revenue growth. As everyone is aware, the bottom there, the bottom yellow is really the existing diagnostics and therapeutics that we have. This is largely showing, marginal growth, but important for us to maintain. One of the things that the PR radiopharma side has been doing very well is some digital solutions. So really advancing a variety of different types of data management, compound management, imaging management solutions that potentially have upside for us as the radiopharmaceutical field in Japan grows and continues to grow. The second highlighted in the pink there are the imaging agents, Amyvid and Tauvid. We expect these are going to start contributing really from 2025, I think more, to overall growth of the PR radiopharma business. But then the real contributors, of course, to the radiopharma business will be with the therapeutic and/or theranostic pairs that we have. And as is mentioned on the right, the midterm aims are really to start having, one NDA per year from late 2027 onward, and to be announcing, 1 to 2 new clinical candidates per year. We already started last year with that, but to continue that pace going forward, to really have a very expansive pipeline of exciting programs. On slide 15 is just to touch on, as we announced at the end of December, but sometimes a little bit easier to actually visualize, is the new manufacturing site that will be located in Chiba Kazusa Academia Park. This park, to give you some physical geography there on the lower left, you have Narita Airport, which is east of Tokyo, and then you have Haneda Airport, which is just south or very central to Tokyo. On the Chiba side, already the main manufacturing facility for PD radiopharma is at the Chiba factory in Samu. So this is already very close, relatively close to Narita, but a little bit further from Haneda. It's probably about less than 30 minutes to Narita and maybe an hour and a half to Haneda. And then, of course, proximal to Haneda is the PeptiDream headquarters, and also our PDR radiopharma Kawasaki PET imaging lab is there too, supplying Greater Tokyo. The Kazusa Academia Park just sits across the Aqua Line under the Tokyo Bay, and is roughly equal distance from both the Chiba factory and the headquarters, and almost equal distance from Haneda to Narita, generally speaking. So this is an excellent geographically situated site. The Academia Park is loaded with very large manufacturers. So it's very easy as far as permitting and construction kind of needs. And so we actually went through quite an exhaustive process before picking this as the next site to expand our manufacturing facilities. So again, very excited, a couple of details listed there. We're expecting this overall investment to roughly be around 10 billion yen. As this solidifies, we will be happy to provide, of course, more details. We really have just kicked off planning after we secured the purchase of the site at the end of last year. We've just been kicking off planning, of course, as far as design, anticipating completion of construction by late 2027, it seems at this stage. Again, given all situations, assuming there's no interruptions in anything, with anticipated start of operation by 2028. And this facility is going to be very important for us going forward. It is a very nice large site, so we'll actually probably build this in stages also, so that it will give us not only the potential to bring a number of products ready to go in 2028, but also give us some extra space to potentially expand further. So I think critical as a second manufacturing site for us. Very excited with this news. Slide 17, next slide. So yeah, so on the 16, my bad. Yeah. So in addition to the excellent progress around the radiopharmaceutical side of the business in 2024, we're going to touch on some of the highlights in the non-radiopharmaceutical side of the business, from 1 to 5 here. So 1 is really the GHR antagonist program. So this actually completed a phase 1 study that is called AZP3813 with Amlite in healthy volunteers, but they presented that data in the May-June timeframe at the European Congress of Endocrinology, as is written in the Endocrine Society meeting, to which they showed that this agent, 1, had excellent safety profile and very, very nice PK kinetics, but also maintained IGF levels very, very well, and that it looked fully promising to take this forward into acromegaly patients in a phase 2 study. As that was happening, of course, AstraZeneca had announced their acquisition of Amlite. And so Amlite is now a unit of Alexion, which is a unit of AstraZeneca. So we've now got three A's: Amlite, Alexion, AstraZeneca. Now I don't even know what to call them some days, to be honest, what name I'm supposed to use. But the Alexion is the rare disease unit of AstraZeneca after they had acquired them, and of course GHR sits in the rare disease space. And so at current, the Amlite name still remains, and so we'll continue to use either Amlite or AstraZeneca going forward. Preparations have made for this to progress into a phase 2 study here in 2025. So again, excited for this program to progress forward. In the second bullet point there, MSD outside of the US, Merck. So this is Merck US, initiated a phase 1 study in June of 2024 of the second peptide therapeutic. So now we have 2 in the clinic with Merck, and this is for the potential treatment of inflammatory disease. Again, these are confidential programs. They're actually not listed in Merck's US pipeline, since they don't normally list phase 1 assets. And both of these studies are being done in healthy volunteers, and therefore there are no NCT numbers in the clinicaltrials.gov registrational numbers either for these. So we will announce anything as soon as we're allowed to by Merck on these programs, but very excited with their progress. Number 3 was the S2 spike protein inhibitor. This was, of course, discovered at PeptiDream in collaboration with our sister company, PeptiAid. This was an AMED-funded project that we were able to see move into a phase 1 here in the fall. And right now it's being tested in both healthy and elderly volunteers, is the current status of the program. Excellent safety thus far as we continue to dose it upwards. And I think Murakami-san on our side, our CMO, is something we'll be talking about more here in 2025. I believe the phase 1 data is supposed to finish by the first half, maybe summer of 2025 is the current anticipation. So the fourth one is the oral myostatin program. We had presented this for the first time in regards to obesity at our R&D day. We demonstrated very promising lean body mass preservation results in these preclinical obese animal models, or the mouse obesity models that we ran these on, especially in combination with semaglutide. So this was actually really, really fantastic results in the first and only oral myostatin inhibitor that anyone is actually aware of. So excited, and I'm sure we're going to have questions about what this program looks like going forward into 2025. And then a number of other milestones. We achieved preclinical milestones with Polar Chemical, who's been partners with us in the cosmetic space for some time. We achieved another leader criteria in a second program with Johnson & Johnson in December of 2024, which I'm very excited with, to be honest, and I'm hoping for more news in 2025 on this, on some of these programs. And then again, there was a number of preclinical milestones that were not able to make press releases for that occurred in 2024, and of course expecting that to continue in 2025. On slide 17 is just a brief current status of the non-radiopharmaceutical pipeline for us, and currently where it sits with the compounds that we actually have in the clinic, as I just described. And then, of course, on the lower part is some of the programs that we're actually looking forward to see be announced as clinical candidates and or move forward in the clinic here in 2025 into 2026. So we can kind of highlight that in the next slide, slide 18, with a little bit about the outlook in what 2025 looks like. As I mentioned, for the GHR antagonist program, we very much believe this will move into a phase 2 here in 2025. For the CD38 ARM asset that we had with partnered with Biohaven, they have actually just completed the initial phase 1 study that was actually run, and it was run on 7 patients that were actually enrolled in the trial, and those results are being analyzed since it was a physician-led study. We have not seen the final results, of course, but with Biohaven, we'll be working to determine next steps, development steps for the CD38 ARM program with Biohaven. So the next one is the PD-L1 inhibitor that we had partnered with BMS, of course, and we had announced in 2023 now that they were not going to continue this program forward. They had finished, one main part, 4 different cohorts, one main part of the phase 1 study. And when it was decided to not progress further, and then we've been getting the data from BMS, or sharing data with BMS over the last year. It's taken considerably more time than I maybe hoped for to get, say, the CSR. The CSR was actually written in a synoptic fashion, and so there's been a lot of good, what I'd say, back and forth on us trying to get full access to everything to make the best decision possible for this program. I would simply say, I guess, for our PD-L1 peptides or inhibitor peptides, I think we now sit in a position where there are multiple potential avenues for this program, whether that's continuing it exactly as is, or whether there are other potential combinations that could be looked at. I think this is, again, PD-L1 is still very much an area of interest for us on the checkpoint inhibitor space, and we're considering all of the options to make the very best decisions for this program. So Merck programs, again, inflammatory disease. The first one that went in the clinic in 2023. We didn't say what that indication was. The second program, they did allow us to be able to provide more granularity to say that's targeting inflammatory disease. We expect more news on both of these programs, I think, in 2025. So as we say in our Tanshin or in our quarterly, is there are certainly we're at the limits to what Merck will allow us to say. So we'll simply be able to report them as we are allowed, but we continue to push the Merck side to allow us to be as transparent as possible with investors and shareholders. COVID-19, as I mentioned, again, the phase 1 is complete. Phase 1 results in the first half, phase results into summer, second half of 2025. So we'll keep everybody up to date. Should be additional news there. And then in other areas, initial new clinical program starts. We're actually expecting new programs to move into the clinic here in 2025. And so the market should look forward to that news, actually programs that we have not yet talked about. Other programs that we have given mention toward, of course, the KIT inhibitor that has been partnered with Alivexis. They have continued to actually value up the program and generate additional preclinical data, strengthening their positioning in their partnering discussions. And so we had initially thought that they would find a partnership in 2024, but again, they've continued to value up the program. And so we'll look forward to 2025 and them trying to get the very best deal for this program possible. So it's hard to fault them for anything they're doing. I love what they're trying to do. On the oral myostatin, as I had mentioned, we already had previous data for DMD, and then this obesity data that we had at the end of last year. We took a lot of this data to JPM and kicked off really partnering discussions in January. And meeting with, as everyone knows, we have a lot of big pharma partners, so it wasn't very hard to get sit downs. And even some of those companies that are kind of partners of ours that maybe the public doesn't know that they're partners of ours, but so we reached out to a very nice set of initial big pharmas and had sit downs, and I think it's very exciting. I think the feedback of certainly is very, very good. There is very high interest across the board, as you'd expect, given the data for these compounds. To do a deal. And so I think we sit in a very good position toward doing a deal around these, our myostatin inhibitors in 2025. And again, there might be questions on this, additional questions on this that I'm happy to discuss as far as what we're looking for into a partner. It's not just about the financials, of course, that's important, but it's also, we believe these oral myostatin inhibitors have value not only across the obesity market, but also across the muscular dystrophy markets. And so finding the right partner to, say, leverage their capabilities and potentially monetize these exciting compounds across a variety of indications, not just obesity, is also an important metric for any deal that we're hoping to do. So, but again, very exciting times as we head into 2025. I'm very confident you're going to see something in this space. The next line is other oral peptide therapeutics. We actually have a number of in-house, fully owned oral peptide therapeutics ongoing. We've maybe mentioned a couple of those over the years, here and there. But I think, as we switch to talking less about preclinical programs, with the exception of myostatin, for example, we haven't talked about those programs as much recently. But some of these programs are also exceptional for partnering in the second half of the year. There's significant interest for a number of other programs we have in-house that I like where we sit. And of course, as the pharmaceutical industry continues to gravitate toward oral peptide therapeutics being very much real and very much being effective, that's only drawing more interest around the programs that we have. So the second to last bar is around PDCs, oligo peptide drug conjugates, which we have a number of partners with, as everyone's aware, across Shionogi and Alnylam and Lilly and Novartis, and probably missing somebody there. And then across the cytotoxic PDC space also, which we have a very big deal with Merck across. I think the market should look toward news in late 2025 around some of these programs. So we've really made some exceptional progress in the peptide, utilizing macrocyclic peptides to deliver oligo drugs. Exceptional in my mind. And these are going to translate to multiple clinical candidates, which I'm very excited about, in the same way with the peptide cytotoxic space. So into the second half of 25 and then also into 26 is going to be, you're going to really see these type of efforts starting to bear fruit, just like our peptide RI programs started to show a lot of advancement into the clinic in 2024. So we're really excited about this non-radiopharmaceutical side of our business, starting to contribute a lot of excitement here in 25, and that's going to continue into 25, 26 and going forward. And the last one is just other peptide optimization across the various collaborations that we have, that everyone's also aware of, that we should expect additional development candidates coming out of some of these collaborations here in 25 and into 2026. So again, a big year, I think, for the non-radiopharmaceutical side in 25, late 25 into 26 for these. So as far as how these contribute to overall revenue growth, of course, as is shown on slide 19 here, right? We have upfront fees, we have, form new collaborations across these kind of core areas and core spaces. And then now also contributing by out licensing or partnering on internal programs that we've developed with external partners to bring in those upfront fees, that licensing, of course, and expand our shots on goal. With all of this then in the long term or mid to long term, actually having things actually reach the market, of course, and then receiving those commercial milestones and royalties on those programs. So really looking for 25 to be a big kickoff, I think, in the expansion of our non-radiopharmaceutical product offerings and pipeline. And I would lastly touch on the lower right there is also this immune engager and MPC area, which very much delves very closely with the oncology space, of course, and using basically tumor-binding peptides to then connect to T-cell recruiting or NK cell recruiting peptides that we've developed in-house. And starting to see these exciting combinations. I think the market should look forward, our investors should look forward to the second half of 2025, us to talk more about some of these engagers, because I think we've been really developing some amazing internal assets and starting to see some fantastic preclinical results that are making me quite excited and quite optimistic for how these will position in later 25 and then into 26 and 27 as large future deal drivers for this business. So moving into consolidated financial forecasts for FY 2025 or for this year. 2023 was 28.7 billion. Last year was 46.6. And this year we're forecasting 49 billion in overall revenue, with a core operating profit of 21.7 billion, an operating profit of 21.6 billion, and then net income coming out very similar to last year, around 15.1 billion yen. And I'm sure there might be questions about what that revenue breakdown looks like and what that comes off. I would just simply say it's very similar to last year. We believe this is a conservative estimate. This is not simply biasing to the high side. And I think we're quite confident in our ability to continue to grow the business as we are doing. So go to the next slide is just core EPS, as I mentioned, which will come out even higher than it did last year at current forecast. So we've definitely taken a significant step up from the 2021, 22, 23 kind of area into the 100 yen plus earnings per share as a new foundational level for us. So that's very exciting, with a good return on equity around 30%, which is I think is fantastic at this stage, and then a return on invested capital in the low 20%. As we look maybe future beyond just the fiscal year 2025, we've used this slide for a couple of years now, to where we've transitioned the kind of the platform business in more to a hybrid business, where we both have a platform, but then also a growing clinical and commercial portfolio, especially on the radiopharmaceutical side of the equation, in the foundation that allows for us. We've now stepped up to almost the 50 billion Japanese yen per year level that we had been hoping for. And I think we will be able to maintain this level over the next few years as we really look to expand and accelerate the development pipeline to get us to where we're hoping to be in 5 or 6 years at around 100 billion yen per year. But again, this jump from the 50 billion Japanese yen per year to the 100 billion Japanese yen per year is going to be driven by drug approvals, which will be very, very transparent for everyone to see. But we think we should start to see, as we mentioned in earlier slides, first NDA, one NDA per year from 2027, early 28 onward, and that those products then, as they hit the market, will start contributing toward us getting to this next short-term or midterm goal. That's on slide 23, is how we are growing the business. I guess, as one of the founders of the company and the CEO, I think this is something I still take with exceptional pride, that we have not accessed the capital markets, and we continue in 11 years now since IPO, and we continue to grow this business, organically, with free cash flow. And so this highlights kind of in 2024, with this step up to this 50 billion yen per year in revenue metrics, we're generating significant positive free cash flow to be able to use that money to actually fund growth of the business, and also physical growth of the business by expanding our facilities, as is listed here, expanding our radiopharmaceutical facilities in Chiba. In a few months, we'll start to talk more about the expansion of PeptiDream's facilities here in Kawasaki, our Tonomachi headquarters. We had mentioned a number about 4 years ago, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago, we had bought the land that was directly next to PeptiDream, which is about a 2x or 2.5x footprint of our current land mass, and that we're actually now going to design a second phase of that business. We had plans to design a large facility there in the past, but of course, with the acquisition of the PDR Radiopharmaceutical Company, that size of that building made less sense, and potential some of the uses for that building made less sense. And so again, I congratulate my entire team for having the good sense to take a pause and reevaluate what we really need to grow the business. Again, always conscientious of the spend. And so it's taken us a little while, but I think we have a very exciting plan for what we're going to do with the land next to us, or at least one phase of that, which we'll start to talk about here through here in the first half of 2025. But that building, we're in the design phases now, just kicking off the design phases of that project now. And that also has, again, a goal of being completed in late 2027. The other uses, of course, for free cash flow, as the light blue, is the acceleration of the clinical pipeline, right? Investing in the products that we either are in licensing, partnering on, or that we actually have, of course, internally, to continue to push those forward into the clinic and maximize the value both for patients and, of course, and also for stakeholders of our company. And then also to use those funds for future growth of pillars, right? And so this is expanded investment, not only around the PDPS system, but also around other, the non-radiopharmaceutical sides of the business also, right? Expanding our peptide drug conjugate space, expanding our oral peptide therapeutic efforts, and expanding our MPC programs, all of which are exceptional programs for us to be partnering on as we develop those forward. So I don't think there's any shortage of actually the type of programs that we can be focused on and be making. And I think we have a very, very clear strategy of what we're trying to actually do here and accomplish here over the next 5 to 10 years, which is, again, makes me extremely excited to be a part of this company. The lastly on slide 24 is really just kind of a final highlight. It's just 2024 was just an exceptional year for this business in all senses. I think PeptiDream or PDR Radiopharma, the PeptiDream group, we have all of the excitement of the hottest biotech in my mind, but with the stability of a mid-sized pharma in some ways. So we're generating all of this potential, but we're generating it without simply continuing to capital raise, continue to dilute shareholders or stakeholders, right? So I think it's very smart growth. So this platform plus portfolio model, hybrid strategy, I think is exceptional. I think it's unique, and I don't think there's many companies that can necessarily pull this off, of course. I think the excitement around macrocyclic peptides and the clear utility of macrocyclic peptides is what allows us to drive this model. And so, again, expecting another fantastic 2025 for the business. On the clinical side, we went from 11 programs to 17 programs in 2024. And as I mentioned and explained, I think we're expecting this 17 to, of course, move significantly higher in 2025. So everyone should be very excited about seeing those announcements and that progress. And the lastly is as I just mentioned, is the continued asset creation to drive further growth, not just in the RI space, but also across these three other major areas. Oral peptide therapeutics and immune engagers are things that we're making internally as wholly owned programs to then partner with companies. And really the oligo PDCs and cytotox PDCs are more programs that we're doing in collaboration with partner as they bring their favorite oligo or their favorite cytotox or payloads to bear to connect or conjugate to our macrocyclic peptides. So we have significant upside opportunity across asset creation, which will allow us to continue to drive, maintain and or drive revenue growth as this pipeline expands toward approvals, which will really then give us the maximizing revenue effect or maximizing revenue growth over the next 5 to 10 years. So.